Okay. And if you could say in some sort of concise manner, what is the NDP's position on the Muskrat Falls project?
Our position on the Muskrat Falls project has always been that we need it to be shown to us that this is a good economic plan, that Muskrat Falls is not only going to deliver energy, but it's going to do it in the most economic way possible. And that's something we've kept asking for. We want the proof that it will work economically for the people of the province, and we don't think we've ever been given the proof that that is the case.
Okay. And has the party's position evolved over time in any way, shape, or form, or has there been a consistent position throughout?
Well, our concern for the proof that the project is economically viable has always been the same. That's always been our concern, and that was the concern of the Environmental Assessment Panel, the joint panel that was set up by the federal and provincial governments, and it was the concern of the Public Utilities Board. So that has not changed. Our questions have deepened. We've had more questions. The more we get presented with proof that we think shows it isn't economically viable, we've had more questions to ask. But we have not been shown, we don't believe, that it's economically viable, so that concern remains the same.
Okay. Now, there was a number of specific pieces of legislation passed to sanction the project and to bring it to the point that it's at now. Has there been concerns with any of the legislation from the NDP's point of view?
Well, the two pieces of legislation that deal directly with Muskrat Falls are Bill 60 and Bill 61. And they were both enabling pieces of legislation. One dealt specifically with the finances, and they were very difficult pieces. They were the pieces of legislation that we held a filibuster about. We did not have adequate time, number one, to study them, a very, very short period of time to study the two pieces of legislation. But what became clear to us with those two pieces of legislation, that they were all about removing any other piece of legislation from Muskrat Falls. So in other words, it gave total protection to the project itself and total protection to NALCOR, so that the Auditor General has no oversight over what happens with Muskrat Falls. The Public Utilities Board has no oversight with what happens at Muskrat Falls. The only place for the Public Utilities Board will be the regulation of the cost of electricity. That's the only place. But the project itself is onto its own. It has nobody monitoring it except the government. And Cabinet has set up now an internal committee to do the monitoring, and to us that is not acceptable. So every eye from outside of government has been rejected by government and will allow nobody but government itself and NALCOR to have any say with regard to Muskrat Falls, and we find that extremely problematic. The opposition had questions as well. When it came to the vote, however, we voted against both bills, both 60 and 61. And we were the ones who called division on 60 to make sure that it was recorded that as a party we rejected the legislation. So it wasn't that we were in the same, we didn't have the same positions as the official opposition. We had similar questions, I think, and we both parties agreed, or by their actions, that we wanted to filibuster and pushed as far as we could, but we stood alone when it came to the vote.
Okay.